What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I was talking with a friend of mine last night. He's retired, so he's about 60-ish, 59, 60. And we were talking about food, agriculture, farming, that nature. And he said to me, he's like, you know, I live in this HOA new community, lived there for 2 years. He's like, we have rules in there that like we can't do things there. Like we can't have chickens, you know, we can't put citrus trees, fruit trees in. Like we've got rules. And he's like, so I don't know. He's like, I feel a huge vulnerability because I know that I should be taking some sort of effort towards producing at least a little bit of food, just in case, one, the wheels come off, or two, like, I just want to have that food security. Is pretty much, he was approaching it like that. Now, he is like right around that age of 60, you know, boomer, retired. And so that's where he's at. I've got another buddy who's a millennial, and he was talking similar, but he was talking about the food nutrient density. So he's basically become very aware that there are very little options, zero in the grocery stores as of currently, to get regenerative ag products, meaning products that are on regenerative soil. So, you know, you run the cows on it, then you run the chickens on it, then you run the pigs on it to aerate it a little bit, then you put wood chips on top of it, then you let the land rest, then you bring the cows right back around, and you do it like that. So there hasn't been a brand up to this point that has that's done regenerative ag. You can find it in the homesteaded community. You can find it by like going to the farmers markets and asking about it, going and meeting your local farmer. You can find some products. You can find some people that are doing meat and cheeses and yogurts and raw milk, and so you can find stuff. But can you find regenerative? Not organic, because organic's a scam. Not that, like regenerative ag products. Can't really do it. So millennial guy, he's talking about nutrient density of food because he actually gets eggs from us, and he's like, dude, it's next level. Like it's not even the same. And then the boomer guy is like, hey, I have an insecurity that my food supply is not very secure. You know, he has food stores and things like that, but he has some storage and stuff, but he's like, you know, if things get weird, like I'm at a serious vulnerable point. And he's at a spot where he's like, what's the point of being retired and having like excess money and capital if I'm only gonna get just washed out in the event, you know, in a bad event, essentially. So here's my idea, here's my pitch. I'm thinking about building a regenerative food company that would do this and then sell people food blocks. I want your comments. I want to hear your opinions down in the comments. Sell people food blocks. Example of this: we'll take $5,000 from you and we'll allocate 1 cow, 50 chickens, 3 pigs, whatever. And that'll be a food block. And so you'll buy 1 food block. You'll either receive the proceeds from the sale at market prices. So like we'll return capital to you with a profit attached, and we'll treat it like a fund, like a 2 and 20. So if I had a hedge fund, it'd be 2 and 20. Typically take a 2% management fee, you take 20% of the profits. So I'll just treat it like a fund. So we're gonna grow a cow, we're gonna grow 50 chickens, and over the course of the year, when we go to harvest on, like after we've collected eggs on these things, after after costs, after we've harvested them and butchered them, you know, likewise with the cow, likewise with the pig, after the pig's already turned compost for us, already done that work, you know, at the end of the day, we'll return capital to you with a gain, and or we'll take your deposit that you have in there, your investment that you have in there, and you have access to that food. Like that food goes to you, and we'll deduct from your balance at market prices. So essentially, you can do 2 things. You can offer someone food insurance. Hey, you're worried about food? Cool. Well, we got you a cow. It's pegged. It's got your name on it. We got 50 chickens for you. We got 3 pigs. There you go, for a $5,000 investment. And or we'll return capital to you with, you know, whatever it may be, 15% on capital, whatever earnings may be after all costs. So we'll return back to you your $5,000 with interest or with an earning. And then that would allow us to not have to sell equity and dilute equity as we go. Because at the beginning phase, well, at all phases of a company, but certainly at the beginning, a lot of it's sweat equity. So I don't want to go out and raise, say, 100 grand and only retain a certain amount of the equity because I needed that first 100 grand. I don't want to do that because it's like, don't need it. But I want to remove two constraints. So I don't think I made this point at the beginning of the video, but what I've discovered is with the typical farming is like, oh bro, I'd love to have a farm, but I don't have land. I've found that to just be a fallacy. It's not real, it's not true, it's false. There are millions of acres of land everywhere where the landowners would happily allow you to farm it in exchange for getting the tax credits that come with it, so the reduction in taxes, and maybe even like a small lease amount, and or some of the proceeds, meat proceeds or whatever it is that you're farming, whatever it is. But essentially, it's really low cost to get access to land. The equity of a farm comes in the management. So you can have a farm with almost zero resources, and just get the equities come from the management. The constraint at that point becomes mobile infrastructure. So you do need some mobile infrastructure, but because it's mobile, like our chicken tractors, we have videos on this channel about those. I can literally take them from this piece of land. I can go to that guy's land. We can take them wherever. So likewise with when you're rotationally grazing cattle, you're putting out these wires, these electric wires. And so you move to a different farm location, you just take the wires with you. They're on a reel. You just reel them up, take the solar panel, like battery charger, you take all that, just move to the next piece. So essentially what you want is you want mobile infrastructure on the leased, rented, borrowed land. And then in my opinion, you want to remove the capital constraints, which would be like, is anyone going to buy these 50 chickens, or what do we do with these cows? Is it enough? It's really difficult to farm with 3 cows and 50 chickens because there's not enough really going on there for someone to go put a lot of time into it. You can do it as a part-time hobby, but if you're going to hire someone and they're going to go work for the day, well, one individual is easily capable of handling 1,000 chickens or way more, depends on your infrastructure, and easily capable of moving several hundred cattle, in one day. It's so it's not so you want to do it at scale. So my idea here is that I would go to individuals and say, hey, it's $5,000 increments, you're going to invest, and you've got exposure to agriculture, whether you want the gains in the monetary, or you want to just know, hey, those chickens have my name on them, those are mine. So when they go to butcher, those are mine. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking about now. So I could go to boomers, I could go to millennials, I could go to landowners, and I could just make it all work. Where it's like, hey, millennial kid, you want access to a farm? Yeah, $5,000 isn't going to get you in the game. All right, you don't need a tractor to start, but you're certainly not getting one. For a $5,000 budget, you're not getting. You can get a chicken coop and a chicken setup for $5 grand, but you're not getting into cattle and chickens and pigs. You're not doing it for $5. But we can do it for 100 guys, and so we can show up with $500,000 in investment and really be doing it with staff and everything, watering, mobile watering situations, the whole deal. So what I'm thinking about is going and selling food blocks to the boomers, millennials, whoever wants it. But essentially, I've come to the realization that there is no nutrient-dense food out there. It's very hard to come by. Almost everything in the U.S. food supply is essentially poison. There's lots of reasons for this, but it's just where we are in the cycle, and it's just how the game is shaken out at this point in time. And what I'm trying to do is figure out, how can I build a decentralized farming operation and scale it with no capital constraints, so that I could just literally just be bringing people into the network, and I could just be bringing land on board, and we could just be rocking it out. And what I think, and this is the last part here, is what I think will occur, or what I know from 5 years of experience here doing our own homestead, is you have 1 cow, and that cow will become 2 cows. You have 50 chickens, and those 50 chickens, if you incubate out the eggs, fertilize and incubate the eggs, you can go ahead and create an extra 50 chickens. And so when you go to harvest annually, you're taking 50 chickens out of the equation, but you've added 50 or 100 more. You're taking a cow out of the equation, but you've added 1 or 2 more. And so what occurs is you're able to return capital back to investors. Here's the capital, and you've got additional livestock that you've just doubled that you can now go and sell to 2 investors. So you can just keep doing this and keep doing it and keep expanding land-wise and keep, like, we got a location in Florida, we got one in Georgia, and you can have 100 locations. I mean, just in the neighborhood I'm driving through right now, 300 properties in here, and I would say half of them, but certainly a third of them, would say, yeah, Trav, if I don't have to mow and maintain my property, dude, yeah, absolutely, I'll take the tax write-off, and that'd be good with me, man. And so there's really no land constraint. I would need some additional infrastructure, but I could get that by obtaining and selling, like pre-selling the food. And so therefore it's like, well, I've reduced the capital constraints and I've reduced the land constraints. So now the constraint is what all farms constraint is. It's the management. So now it's on me. Now it's like, how good can you manage? How good can you grow it? And so that's kind of where I'm at when I'm thinking about how I'm thinking about decentralizing food, how I'm thinking about just doing regenerative food. There's not any regenerative food in America. Like, you cannot find it. Like, if you want to find food that wasn't raised in a cage, that was raised on pasture, that wasn't raised with grain and soy, that wasn't vaccinated, that wasn't all those things, good luck. And so I think that the market's just prime. In addition to that, it's, agriculture's been in a bear market for 30 years. This is a fact. You can check the big finance companies. They do lots of reports. So, agriculture's been in a bear market for 30 years. Average age of American farmers, 61 years of age. Demographically, half of all U.S. farm assets are changing hands in the next 10 years. So mergers and acquisitions in the farm space is about to be a big deal. And I'm interested in building potentially a company that plays in that space, so that as these things naturally occur, just demographically they're coming anyway. I'm kind of already there. I'm already in the spot. I also think that the equity of that company would be very valuable for a company like Whole Foods, which is now owned by Amazon. I know the founder of that, John Mackey, is a great libertarian guy. Buddy worked for him for several years, and so I've met John a couple times. You got Publix, Kroger's, all these larger interests don't have any brands in their stores currently that offer any regenerative options. There's 0 regenerative options. And so this is something where the equity of building something that's super decentralized. I mean, if you went and said, hey, we have 300 different farm locations, we've got X amount of staff, we've got X amount of people that have purchased food insurance blocks from us or pre-purchased their regenerative food, and the equity of a company like that could be interesting, could be very interesting. If the wheels come off, could be even more interesting. If inflation persists, if it continues to be an inflationary decade, could be even better. If fuel and energy spikes in some sort of crazy hot war event or anything like that, even better. Like, so it's basically a hedge to the downside. Things go south, you're hedging a company that's definitely going north. It's just going to become more important. I also think that staffing it might be I don't want to say easy, but I think staffing it could be unique, because I'm discovering, like, these retired boomers, like my dad comes out and watches our place while we're gone, and he loves it. Like, he's like, yeah, I love it. It's like a great morning. I go out, I hang out with the dogs, I move the chickens, do the thing, and then, like, show up in the evening and do the same thing. So it's like, an hour in the morning, hour in the evening, and that's kind of the process. Obviously, there's other things we're doing every day, building infrastructure, clearing new additional land, doing chips. So there's other things we're doing. But as far as the management of just doing it, I think that's something. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Let me know if you would be an investor. Let me know if you're like, yeah, dude, I would do that deal. And yeah, I'm just keep hashing out this idea, because it's something that I can't shake. I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I just think that I think it's the right direction. So, see ya.